All right, so I'm Kayla Owens, and this is my presentation on classroom management. You can kind of see me down here in the corner. I think it's mostly like this so you can see the screen, but I'm here. So, all right, we'll get started. First, we'll start with the basics of what I think makes a classroom successful. So, this is all about my philosophy. I think the first thing that's extremely important to me is mutual respect. If the students don't feel and see that you respect them just as much as you ask them to respect you, you're not going to get that. You can't have your teacher authority as the driving force without them knowing clearly that you have the same respect that you're asking of them. Otherwise, they'll just completely blow you off, and we know how that goes. Clear expectations, it's extremely important. It was important to me as a student, and I know the vast majority of other students also. And it helps you, not only does it help them stay on top of it and kind of, know what's going on, stay with the program, it also helps you have a reference to go back to if something comes up and be able to go to your posted list of expectations that you made with the kids at the beginning of the year. You can say, what do we need to work on here? What are we missing? What did we talk about at the beginning of the year that we don't see happening right now that we need to get to? And you can start the problem solving process from there. Cooperative learning is important to me. We've read about it in, I think, my 440 class, and I think I've seen some things in our book about it in this class. It's been proven. I mean, kids working together, bouncing ideas off of each other, and in that is a learning process, learning how to work together, learning social skills of how to communicate, how to work in groups, things like that. I mean, that'll carry on past their education, but it'll also help during their education, different group projects and everything like that. I think that definitely needs to be focused on. Having an inclusive environment, that's, of course, we all know that's important. I mean, you need to make the kids feel like they are wanted there. Otherwise, they won't want to be there. I mean, it's pretty simple. Offering choices is another huge thing. It can be your choices. I like the idea of a choice board. I think I'll have that in my room for a lot of different assignments and projects because then you have control over the choices, but they feel that they're getting more control. And if your students know they learn better a certain way or prefer a different way of doing things, whatever, as long as they're doing the project, you might as well give them a little choice in it too. And the biggest thing to remember is that it starts and ends with us. I think that really wraps up my philosophy on it. We need to go in there with an open mind, show them respect, show them we care about all of them all the time. And we're all going to slip up. I'm definitely going to slip up. Everyone does. Teachers aren't perfect, humans aren't perfect. But knowing that our attitude and the way we present ourselves really is what it comes back to. So the first steps of that, I think, laying out the classroom and behavior expectations for the kids from day one, including the students in that process, deciding different expectations. There are some things we can't really give on, like, you can't scream your head off in the hallway, things like that. But other expectations, like, okay, how do you think we should handle if another kid takes something we wanted to use? Or how do you think we should do this? How do you think we should play in this zone? How do you think we should act during homework? All those things like that, you can post it in the class and have it as a reference, like I said. Deciding on a reward system for homework and behavior. No two groups of kids are the same. That's important to remember. So one thing that worked last year might not work this year. It really is different. And that's part of getting to know your kids, which is what you need to do every year, no matter what. You need to build that relationship and get to know them. And I am a fan of food rewards, like a pizza party at the end of the month or popcorn party or something like that, like the book had suggested. But also, like the book said, that can get a little tricky with expenses and food allergies. You need to be careful, but there are a lot of different ways to incorporate it. You could have a movie day or anything like that. But I think a reward system of some kind like that is important. It helps with the outside driving in, incentive for them. And a lot of younger kids need that. And having positive communication with parents from day one. Don't have your first interaction with the parents be like, oh, well, today Billy punched another kid in the face. Parents don't want to hear only the bad things about their kids. Make a point, I want to send home like a weekly or every other weekly newsletter to let them know what's going on in the class, to help them in a way be involved with their children's learning, and so that I can build that relationship with them. So when, I do have to tell them something that's not the most positive, I think they'd be more willing to work with me if I created that positive communication from the start. So creating an inclusive environment socially and physically is another huge part of it. Emphasize cooperative learning, like I already went over. I'm going to have table groups. Set up for success. Make your classroom accessible for everyone. Have options. In that, providing optional spaces and flexible seating. I'm not sure how I'll do it, if I'll work in flexible seating, I think later in the year. Depends on the age group, because I think some age group needs more structure right off the bat than others. But I think having optional spaces for them, it's just providing more choice. And incorporating the different cultures and experiences into the class. Every kid comes from a different background, and that's part of making them feel like they are wanted and needed in your class is, emphasizing their different cultures, where they come from, so that their classmates can learn more about it, and that really drives the mutual respect aspect of it too. So this is just an example of a classroom I liked. I liked all the flexible seating they have. Like the exercise balls would be really good for a really fidgety kid or something, and those are just more ways that you could incorporate expectations. Like say, we can have these balls to sit on, and you can do X, Y, Z with them, but if you pick it up and throw it at another kid, you're gonna have to sit on a crate instead, or something like that. So just another way to give them options while still holding them to the expectations of the class. And handling misbehaviors, a big part of that, like I said, holding them accountable, pointing to the expectations that they agreed on at the beginning of the year, making sure that it comes back to them. And in that's putting the monkey on their back and not yours. Bring it back to they know what is expected of them. They know what they did wrong. Talk through the process with them, but don't hold it on you. Make sure the kids are accountable for their actions. And one way of that, zones of regulation. One of the teachers talked about that in the teacher panel, and I really liked that. It helps kids self-regulate, which is an important skill that they need to learn. You can't be their mother throughout school. And it helps them identify, what they're feeling and be able to communicate that better. Avoiding sending the kids out of the room when possible, using like the safe spaces or calm down spaces, zones, whatever you want to do. I think it's important not to ostracize them from the learning environment, because the more you do that, the less they'll feel like they're wanted there, even if it is from a behavior. And use your resources. Other teachers are there, counselors, principals, administration, everyone. You're not alone if you have a difficult child, which happens, but the last thing you want to do is give up on that. And watch your mouth. It matters. That's a huge part of it. Keep in mind that you're one of the most influential adults in these kids' lives. That's very possible. I mean, it's your parents and their parents and you that they see all day. So the way you talk to them helps them shape their self-identity, really. And you need to make sure you're using positive language to show that you support and care about them and their learning, and that you're coming from a good place, and you're not setting negative connotations on what they're doing. And when you show them that you care, they're much more likely to care also. Like it all goes back to making them feel like they're important and wanted in your class. So that mostly wraps up the most important parts of my philosophy and how I'm going to run my future classroom. And hopefully it works out.